Hi everyone, Mr. Simmer here. Welcome back to Generational Farming. I just decided I'd pop in here. We have got to soil sample again. So if you recall, I was trying to understand how this worked in the game per the grass dynamic and so forth, because typically it's kind of, my understanding and what I had seen was it took 3 years. Now we have data points that show, in fact, it doesn't. It takes maybe a year and a half at best, because basically these fields were sampled, and that's where I had tested this when I went ahead and worked with it to make sure that I could see what happened and try to learn as I go forward so that I can make any changes in my decisions, if there were any to be made, from gaining that knowledge. But year 6, winter, was when I sampled last. That went ahead and basically means that this is now year 8, summer. So as I said, we're talking about a year and a half is basically what we were able to obtain before we were required to do this. But I went in, and my intent here was to fertilize, and I got on the field and I couldn't, and that is what usually prompts me to check, do I not have data? And therefore precision farming is basically like, I don't know if you need fertilizer or not, so I'm going to say you don't need any. I don't know if it's driven by the number of harvests, like pretty much everything else, like lime, which is how we have to lime a little more often than once a year, because lime is every 3rd harvest that you're down to the bad reading. So I did go ahead, speaking of lime, and do that before this harvest, or actually I think it was before the last one. Yeah, so this one, whatever it is, the one that I just did yesterday in July. And I knew that that was going to be the case. I think I had alluded to it in previous episodes, that I was going to basically have 2 harvests that I needed the lime for, because there was that determination of, am I going to go ahead and do it? And ultimately I said, yeah, I need to, for multiple reasons, not the least of which is, again, to maintain the best environmental bonus that I can, so that we get the most money we can this year, especially given that we're going to be selling under any kind of premium pricing. But at this point, I did want to pop in and just share this data point, which was one of those things that I had committed to measuring, and sadly, we have to do this more often. However, this is less than lime. We obviously rent the fertilizer spreader. We rent the fertilizer spreader because it doesn't make sense to buy it for the times we're on here. And similarly, it makes even more sense then to keep renting this, because even though I have to do this job more often than perhaps I'd like, simply because, once again, my hope was get on here, spend 10 or 15 minutes fertilizing, and then my work is done for the day in preparation of what will be the final mow of the grass, which will be tomorrow, and then we'll continue from there. I'm going to keep monitoring where my silos are at. They're not full yet, but they're going to be getting there, and I definitely don't want to slow them down in any way, because I'm seriously starting to wonder that even with 3 harvests, am I going to be able to get all the grass processed? Some of it is simply, again, the realities of the real world meeting a sim, in that I mowed when I needed to for the first cut, as you're aware from the last episode, but I did not pick up that grass off the field and therefore get it processing until the next day. And I think it was relatively late in the next day. So I, in essence, lost a day or a day and a half of processing time of what would have been the first harvest. So I'm not even sure that I'm done with the grass from the first harvest yet in my processing. I probably could have gone a little bit more. So that gets you up to speed on where we're at, but most important thing to share today was the realities of soil sampling. But that gets you up to speed. Keep an eye out on the channel for when more updates on generational farming will come. Things are going to get a little different for sure, and that the fact we're moving, the best way to do that is to subscribe so that you're informed with a notification of when new videos appear. And as always, if you like this, please drop a like below. It definitely helps, and it's greatly appreciated. It gets more views in the YouTube algorithm and so forth, which consequently helps with spreading the reach of the channel. So, appreciate it if you would do that, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.